Okay. Good evening. This is the North Andover Board of Health meeting for Thursday, March 22nd, 2018. And I'm Larry Fixler, and I call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. We're going to go to the item 3, public hearing. So I'll declare that the public hearing has started at 7:03. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. That's unanimous. Somebody's here for the public hearing, Robert Daigle, Construction. Would you like to step forward and introduce yourself and state your name and name of your business?
Good evening. My name is Robert Daigle from Robert Daigle Construction. I'm here to plead for my license in town. I'm a septic installer. I've been working in town since 2004. Recently there was a complaint I was unaware of. I'd like to address that if it's possible.
Okay. Brian, why don't you take the lead and give us some history and what's going on and what are the rationale and discrepancies?
Okay. Basically, Rob came in, got his permit for this past septic season, got a couple of jobs in town here over the course of the season. The first one, which I spelled out in the letter that I sent to Rob for the permit, as well as copy to you guys on, just some issues came up and arose through the season that shouldn't have happened. There were some issues with the work, there were some issues with the components that he used, pulling the permits when they needed to be pulled, and it just caused an overall extra burden on the staff, as well as the residents in town. So the first job that we dealt with was on Turnpike Street, and it was a tough job, but Rob called me up on a Friday afternoon, or Friday right before noon, long weekend. Needed to get the job done. I said, no problem. Come in, first business on, we were closed Monday and Tuesday for 4th of July. Wednesday morning, come to the office, pull the permit, pay the fee. He didn't do that. We had to go to the site, see if it was there, to see if it was working. Ended up seeing a realtor on site who then got in touch with Rob Daigle, and then he came down the following week to pay for the permit and pull the pay the fee and pull the permit. So we shouldn't have to chase down contractors. If they say they're going to do something, they should do it. So it just caused added frustration on our part, staff, and timing-wise. One of the components you put in, we don't allow plastic D-boxes in town. We require H20 concrete D-boxes, so you have to take that out and replace that. Just so little things like this caused extra staff time and unnecessary issues with us. So, and then there was a job that he had on Boston Street that the resident was very, very unhappy about. Filed the complaint to the town manager, which then got passed down to me and you guys. And then just reviewing the season, we discussed this and we decided that it was prudent to at least call him before the board, at least maybe deny the permit for now and take it from there and see what happens. But the job on Boston Street was very time consuming. There was some issues with timing, with the overall job itself, with a cracked and leaking D-box that the homeowner had to spot to let us know that wasn't replaced as it should have been by David Construction. The timing of the job was a little bit longer than anybody had anticipated. It should have been a 3 or 4 day job, and it took a few months. The homeowner was livid. We heard from her literally every other day. She was begging us to do something, but obviously we can't make the contractors do work faster. We can just encourage them to get the job done as much as we can. So that caused some frustration with the homeowner, with our department, and obviously Rob had some issues with the homeowner as well. That's spelled out in the letter, and Rob's here to discuss his side of it as well. So that's a basic rundown of some of the things we experienced this past septic season.
All right, thank you. Mr. Daigle, would you like to make a statement or comment and talk about some of this?
I was unaware there was a letter until recently. I discussed it with Brian. I told him that I would do whatever I needed to do to make this right. As far as the job on 114, they asked me to do certain things. I did them. Everything that was needed to be done got done eventually. As far as Boston Street, we had an agreement. She wanted me to pull the permit. I did. I explained to her that I was very busy and I was going to do the job. I started the job a month or so later. The permit's good for 2 years. We didn't have a time limit at all. It did take a week or so longer than it should have. I did everything I was supposed to do. At the end of the job, she didn't want to pay me. I ended up paying Phil Christensen, the engineer, for the as-built plan. I also paid for the permit and some trucking that was not included. The job cost me money. I mean, no question. I don't want to he said, she said the situation. I want to make it right. I'd like to continue working in town, you know, if it's possible.
We're not going to get into what you paid for versus what your contract
No,
says
I
and
understand that
anything like
completely.
that.
Can I just say, I have a couple other letters here. I mean, that's a nasty letter that she had written. Here's 2 other letters from 2 other customers that I did work for, much larger jobs in town, same inspector. And these kind of reflect a little more about what my work ethic is like. I'd like to
Sure,
hand them
please.
to you, please.
Yep. Thank you.
And then also I have a letter from Phil Christensen saying that I paid for the as-built plan out of my own money. These letters show a little more about what my character is.
We're always concerned about letters of complaint, of course. You would be too.
I am very concerned. I've been working in this town since 2004. And I lived here for years before that. And we still own property in town here. I'm a taxpayer, and I make donations to the town when I can.
The complaints are very important, but one thing I'm sure you realize, but I'm going to reiterate it. When we issue you a permit to work for the year, we, as a department and the board, are putting our stamp on your quality of work, your ethics, and your follow-through
Yeah.
when we do.
Can I go on to show you some other?
Absolutely,
Okay,
please.
So, these are some other licenses and letters of reference that are not immediately pertaining to this work, because these letters are within the time frame of the work that I was doing this job. Okay, so these are jobs that I was doing parallel to this work that we're discussing. And these are letters and licenses from other towns that I've worked in, and I have several. And you can look at whatever you'd like. And there's many of them. I'm licensed in every town. I have letters of recommendations from most of the health agents right here in this envelope.
Is this our copy?
If you'd like to keep that, you may.
No, I'm just saying,
Absolutely.
are you just
You
presenting
can
it?
look at it, you can keep it, you can give it back to me if you'd like.
Brian, do you want it?
Sure, yeah, I'll take anything for the file, we'll copy them, we can send them back to you.
We'll send them back to
You
you.
don't have to keep them. The copies.
They're copies. Okay. I'm not going to look at them now, there's too much to look at.
That's okay, I understand.
Okay.
This is a copy of our contract, okay? I'm gonna keep this, but I do want to show you that the agreement was for $8,000, okay? I did the extra work that I had explained, and she paid me $7,900 total. So the cost of the job was under the bid, okay? And that also includes the fact that I paid for Phil Christensen's surveying, the permit, and the truck. You can look at that. And then it has her checks on the back.
Yeah, no, I don't need to look at that, Brian, unless you want to look at it.
I'm all set with the
Okay.
Do you need
financials.
this?
No, I don't need that. Do you need, Brian, a copy of it?
No, I'm all set with the financial
Okay.
stuff.
My concern is, besides the letter of, please go back to the, if you would, the podium. Besides the letter of complaint and an unhappy resident. My main concern besides that are your failure to follow the rules and regulations and requirements of you for the minimum standards for Title V installation and the installation of a septic disposal waste system in North Andover on our regs.
Could you please specify that?
Well,
I think,
on 1024 Turnpike Street, Brian mentioned, this is not a reg, but this is just, he had to go chasing the fee and app.
Yeah, well,
The incorrect D-box,
yes.
the
polyethylene.
polyethylene versus the
Can I
concrete.
reiterate on that, please?
Sure, tell us why.
I had done some other work in town earlier that year. Brian and I had a conversation. I misunderstood the conversation. All right, the components that are used in these systems are Title V minimum, but they're also under the regulation of Brian. It's discretionary. He can tell me what to use and what not to use. I thought he said something to me that he obviously didn't. So, having said that, the poly distribution box, it was an upgrade in my mind because it's not going to deteriorate. It's going to last forever. And this is the third box that I had to replace this year because of the boxes that were deteriorating. So the previous conversation that I had with Brian, I thought I was doing an upgrade, so to speak. I understand it's not an H20 box, but we're not driving on the box.
Yeah.
H20 is rated for driving, not erosion.
Have you reviewed the North Andover regulations?
Yes, I did.
What Brian and Michelle follow are our regulations
Yes, I know.
that we as a board put together, so they follow
Yes, I know.
our discretion. So when you felt it was an upgrade, was it?
No, I didn't, listen, I am not saying that I'm taking this upon my own. I honestly thought Brian had said that it would be okay to do this. It was my mistake, a mistake, okay? Let me remind you that I've been working here since 2004. There have never been any other complaints about me, ever.
Have you been before us before?
Not for anything like this.
For anything?
Yes, I have, sir. Would you like to know why?
Sure.
I pulled 2 septic system permits in the off-season. I needed approvals for that, and I believe that was in 2008.
I watched the video. It was 2014.
Okay?
Okay, it was 2014. The listing of the D-box, Brian, is that in, does it specify in the regs
Yeah,
what's supposed to be in?
It does say H20.
Yeah.
Okay,
There are other D boxes that you have approved on plans that are not H20. The baffle box that you use is not an H20 distribution box.
well, that's something, if we've approved it, then, and if Brian's
Well, again,
approved
I thought
it.
it was approved, and it was a mistake I made. It was a mistake.
Yeah.
I'm admitting that, okay? And I corrected it immediately, no questions.
And then on 325 Boylston Street, installing the leaching trench, why don't you tell us about the improper excavation?
Well, that is, remains to be seen. OSHA regulations state that a trench has to be deeper than it is wide. That was 15 feet wide and 3 feet deep. So it wasn't classified as a trench. I had caution tape around it. Is this what we're talking about?
I think it might have been the
Is that with the sand?
sand
sand.
excavation.
Okay, so the improper, the inspection, the missed inspection, I don't have records of their inspections. I don't know, I can't tell you if she made the inspection or if Brian made the inspection or not. It was brought to my attention. I gave them a sieve analysis. I have a copy of it right here, of the sand that I used. It's C33 concrete wash sand. It's the best sand that you can get.
Right, but it's the procedure you follow. You have to, what is the procedure, Brian?
You call us when you do the bottom of bed inspection, the sand should be there. We
Right.
can inspect the sand. It wasn't. He never called us when he got the sand. And sometimes if it's,
So you did see the bottom of it?
I saw the bottom of bed, I didn't see the sand.
Okay.
I saw the sand after it was installed, and I dug down with my hand through the sand to make sure it was a vertical profile, it was all consistent, and it was. But I shouldn't have to be digging by hand.
I don't know anything about that. I know that I use top quality materials.
Yeah, it has nothing
If
to do-
I missed an inspection.
But if you don't have us inspect the sand, which is in our sheets and our procedures,
Okay.
then you put anything in the hole and we don't know. So I went,
Well, there was 6 inches of sand underneath the field, so I mean.
Do you have a copy of our rules and regulations?
Yes, I
Would you like to
but
keep it with
again,
you
I've
when
been
you?
doing this. in
I'm
this-
just asking, when you go to a site, do you have can you keep a copy with you of various towns that you go to? If you're in Haverhill or wherever, the copy of their local regs
Yes,
for
I do.
septic disposal installations?
Yes, I do.
And this is in our project management obligation form that they sign when they do a job.
Again, I
It's
cannot tell
listed
you
in
whether
there.
this inspection was done or not, because I don't
I did
have
it.
that.
I did it myself.
Yeah, I know, but.
After
this-
the fact.
The sand inspection.
Correct.
Yes, I know that you did it, but you're saying
Yeah.
that it wasn't done, and I have no record of that. I mean, I can't tell you, I don't get a copy of a signed slip when there is an inspection. So how can I tell you that it wasn't,
Well, I guess,
how can I verify that it wasn't?
Brian, who's supposed to call for an inspection?
He is.
Yeah, I
Okay,
am.
so, okay.
Right. So we have inspection sheets that we keep in the file. We go through every procedure, basically we check the boxes. This is done, this is done, this is done, through the entire process of the entire construction of the septic system. He missed that step. I went there, the sand was already in the hole. I was there, he wasn't there. I dug down with my hands
So I don't understand how come you were there and I wasn't there.
because I was
If
stopping by
I
to
called for
see.
the inspection,
I was stopping by to see if there was anything going on over there. That's why. I was out on Boston Road anyway. I
okay.
was driving by, I pulled in, the sand was already in, and everything was buried. That's all. So we usually keep tabs, and if something's going on, we usually swing by job sites on a regular basis. And the homeowner was calling up all the time. Nothing's been happening. What's
There's no
going
doubt
on?
about it. She was unhappy. She was unhappy before I
Right.
started the job. She didn't want to
So-
do the job.
Regardless of semantics, he missed an inspection. I did it on my own. He doesn't have to be on site for sand inspection. If it's there in the back of the truck and he's not there, that's fine. I can still look at the sand. But typically, it's when they're ready to fill in the hole. They have a truck there, and Michelle will take a look, or I'll take a look. Just check the quality of the sand and the consistency, and then you can go on.
So you didn't follow proper procedure?
Unknowingly, possibly. I
Okay.
cannot say one way or the other, because I don't remember
All right,
that.
you know we don't have time for this, right?
Yes, I absolutely do.
Okay, we just don't have time. You know, we haven't, I don't know, do you know how many septic installers we have in town, Brian? Any idea?
Over 20.
Okay. Can you imagine if we had to do this for all 20 or 25? It would be a disaster. So also with,
Has this happened before?
With other installers?
No, with me. Has there been a
Since I've
history
been
of
here?
this? Has there been, no, besides these two instances, has there been any history of this type of,
Since I've been here, no. I've been here for 2 years.
okay. Well, Michelle's been here since I've been here for 14 years. I don't ever recall ever having a problem.
well,
And
There's
I- and I don't ever anticipate having another problem like this. I've done more than 20 systems in this town.
Mm.
Okay.
so why don't you tell us about the D-box leak that the homeowner reported?
I didn't have any idea about that. Michelle asked me to change the distribution box, and I did. I don't know what conversations went on when I was not there.
Is that something that was leaking for a while? Is that something that we should have been notified of, or?
We do not know.
Yeah.
Michelle was out there. Homeowner said, "Is this normal?" Michelle said, "No, that's not normal." So something happened in the D-box. Either it was cracked or it shifted during construction. I mean, it's very hard to say. And it was deteriorated on the inside a little bit. So something had cracked or gotten either through the prior excavation, the installation, or during this time, or just whatever. I mean, it's concrete. It could have shifted and cracked, but it was leaking. And the homeowner had to see it and let us know that it was leaking and asked if that was normal, and we basically said no. So we talked to the engineer.
This is a fresh installed system?
Yes.
Also, I put down here, failure to produce a certificate of compliance, and we had a chase for the as-built. Could you
Correct.
tell us what that is, and then maybe, Mr. Daigle, you could just comment on that?
At the end of a job, once a system is constructed and installed, the engineer signs off on it and the installer signs off on it. That's a local policy that we have, just so that everybody signs off on it. Everybody checks the boxes, we get the as-built plan, everything is all set and was built as it was designed, and then we issue the certificate of compliance. The homeowner can't get a occupancy permit to live in that space or move into the house or whatever until they have that. You can't close on the property if it's for sale. If it's an addition, you can't get your building department approvals to use that space yet. In this case, it was a third floor attic that was finished for a bedroom. And there was some issues going on between the homeowner and Rob. I don't get involved with the financial aspect of it, but the as-built never made it to our office, and the certificate of compliance was never signed, or the installation certification was never signed. This went on for a while. We talked to the engineer. The engineer had given the plans to Rob. Rob was going to hand deliver them to the office. That never happened. We had to chase him down through the engineer and get copies sent to us so the person could move their daughter into the attic. That's why this whole thing was started, so they had somebody moving back home, and they needed a place for them to sleep. So they weren't able to use the attic until this was completed. So we
Okay.
talked to the engineer, they inspected it, we inspected it, they signed off on it, they gave us another copy of the as-built, and we used that and made a determination that it was okay to sign off on the certificate, and they could start using there.
So there was no response from Rob?
Well, that's not necessarily the case. The as-built, the certificate of, it's to my understanding that if I don't sign that, that's like a lien until I get paid. I've done it in the past in Andover. I refused to sign it. They agreed with me. It never got signed. They never got their certificate of compliance. It should be it's an accepted practice. I mean, it's the only lien that I have to get my money. She refused to pay me. I went to see her with the certificate of compliance. She settled with me. I signed it and gave it to her. She never gave it to Brian, apparently.
I think we already had a cut, we had already.
Yeah, at that time, it
At
was
that time,
already
we already
done.
taken care of it.
He had done, he told me, look, it's discretionary. You took too long to do the job. I'm not gonna back you on this. And I agreed with him. That's when I went to the homeowner and tried to, settle with her. I'm not looking to make problems. I'm not looking to give him problems or anybody. I just wanna work.
Is that common practice, Brian,
Well,
for
I've never had it.
installers to hold up a certificate of compliance and
I've-
tie you up and Michelle in order for them to get paid properly? Is that
I've never had that happen to me
okay?
here or in other communities where I've worked.
Okay.
I don't know what happens in Andover or other communities, I can't speak for that. I've never had a subcontractor or contractor either use it as a form of a lien or a way to get paid. I've never experienced it before, so I don't know if that's common in other towns or not. I really can't speak to that, but it doesn't, we don't get involved with the financial aspect of it and payment to contractors.
Does it tie us up when that happens?
Yes. It
Okay,
tied
so-
us.
Inadvertently, I apologize, but again, it's,
You're getting paid as your business. We still have our procedures to
Oh,
follow.
absolutely.
And if you've signed on,
I did sign it, and I did settle. with
no,
her.
I'm saying if you've signed on to do a job in our town and we've approved you that permit
Well,
to do
these
it.
permits are good for 2 years, so I didn't hold it up that long.
No, I'm talking about the certificate of compliance and.
Yeah, I know.
Right, you're tying us up too.
Well, in a sense, but
You're tying us up. Your payment is your problem. Unfortunately, you have to deal with that. You can't tie
I
our.
did this
you
in
can't
another
tie our-
town, and the health agent told me this is how you go about doing this.
Well-
So I apologize if this is not how you
I've
want
never
to
seen
do
that
this,
before.
and I won't do it again.
Let me just make several comments here. I did review all the information. I did look at your appearance in front of the Board of Health in 2014. And from the perspective of the department and the board, the concerns, which are legitimate, is following proper procedures, quality of work, timeliness of permits, and as such, your license has been pulled. This, when you affect a person's ability to earn money and support his or her family and survive, it's really serious. And I'm saying to myself, is there a mid-position that would be acceptable to you and acceptable to the board and the department? Perhaps there is, perhaps there isn't. If there is, perhaps probation. And if there are further problems during that time, your license is pulled, period. I can't speak for everyone, but I hate to see anyone lose the opportunity to make money,
Thank you.
to survive. I mean, I have a number of licenses too, and even though I don't work that much because of my age right now, I'd be really bummed out if I lost any of my licenses.
This has been
So-
very stressful to me.
Well, it's been difficult for us too. As I said, there are about 20 people in our companies in North Andover, and yet you're the one that's in front of us right now. And I'm not saying there hasn't been problems with other ones.
There's
but I'm
never
just
been a problem
commenting
with
on
me,
you.
sir.
I just hope that when this is over, everyone is happy, and I don't know if that's possible. I don't.
I hope so.
So, opening it up for further discussion, I mean, we can talk ad infinitum about specifics, but it is to a certain extent, and you said at the beginning, I hope it's not he said, she said, but it is he said, she said right now.
So really, right now, we're looking at, these are definites. This is actual.
I'm not,
Data as far as,
when I started to talk, I said these are
deficiencies.
legitimate concerns. I'm
Exactly,
not
exactly.
refuting that, but I'm saying, is there anything that we can do for him so he can continue to make money to support himself and his family? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, this is two homes and all failure to follow proper procedure and our rules and regulations. And so what happens next time?
I certainly would like to hear from the other board members on this. We seem to have
Yeah.
two positions that are not comparable. That is, Larry and my positions are very different.
I think when a homeowner writes the town manager in the way that she did here, I mean, it makes you wonder what happened in the interaction. I mean, it was, I guess, is it just as simple that it didn't happen fast enough?
That's what it appears to me. It seems like I've done everything eventually that I was asked to do. Brian said I did the work. You got what you needed. The job took 3 weeks. So I pulled the permit. The problem is I pulled the permit in April, and the last check was in September. She was upset about that time frame. That's the time frame. The job actually took a couple weeks.
And it was under $8,000.
Yes, it was under $8,000, plus I spent money that I didn't.
So you made very little, if anything.
I didn't make any money on this job at all. This job cost me money, hands down, no doubt about it.
Well, it also harmed your reputation as
Oh,
well.
undoubtedly, and probably severely. Yes, it did. And it's impeccable. My reputation is impeccable. End of story.
Why all these deficiencies as far as following proper procedures and
Well,
protocols?
as I
You know,
see, I
excuse
made
me.
a mistake. As far as the
Let me
distribution
finish.
box goes, I made a mistake.
Mr. Daigle,
Yes, sir.
let me finish.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm asking you why, why all these deficiencies in following proper procedure, protocol, and also our rules and regulations on two different homes?
Yeah,
Now you can continue.
okay. Again, I apologize. I have no intention of not doing the right thing. I think I explained a few of these issues away as mistakes. You have my word, it's not going to happen again. And I'm just going to, say I really don't have good answers for you as far as, why this happened. All I can say is I dealt with it as it happened. It was, the permit issue. Brian gave me permission to do the job. I didn't go and work with no permission. I got permission to do the job. I did pay for it. It was a funny week. 4th of July week, they weren't in all, and I can't tell you why it didn't happen that week, but I was there as soon as I addressed it. I take this very seriously. I honestly do. I'm not messing around.
And I'm going to go by the letter here, but it says that when we began the excavation, the dig safe ticket had expired, and that they had not marked the electrical and cable lines on the property, which is standard practice that we were not aware of.
Can I stop you?
I'm going to finish this, please. He proposed performing the excavation anyway without knowing definitively where the lines were. Is that true?
No, that's not true.
So she's lying?
I don't know what she's thinking, but the conversation was, I started the job, I realized that the lines were not marked. DigSafe will not mark private electric lines on private property. They end at the town property. Once I realized that, I notified them. I notified them that they had to get it marked on their own. They have to hire a private company to come and mark this. I'm not spending money to mark this out. I gave them a couple of names. They chose somebody. I came back when it was marked out. That was it. That's as far as I know. The ticket did not expire. The ticket is good as long as the marks are good, the ticket is good. So the ticket, she was misinformed. The ticket did not expire. The marks were still there off the property.
Can you comment on that, Brian?
I don't work with DigSafe. I do know that they don't mark cable, and I don't believe they mark electrical on private property, but they'll mark it up to the edge of property. So if you
what he
could,
said.
yeah.
So basically,
But I don't know
the
about-
cable and the electric run in the same trench. They mark the cable, that's how you know where it is. That's
Yeah, so I don't know
rule of
about,
thumb.
I don't know ticket
But
expiring.
they have a dish, so
I
they
don't
don't
know.
have cable.
I don't know private costs or contractors that you can hire to do that. I don't work on that side of it.
Okay.
Michelle, do you have any comment?
No. As the newest member of the board, I think I don't have a lot of previous conversations on these type of topics. I think I would just be interested in how often we are getting complaints like this from the 20 other members doing this in the community, and what other penalties. So I think we've got two extremes kind of spoken on the other end of the table, and just kind of want to know how we usually handle anyone that has come before, whether a suspension or full
We haven't had any other
probation.
complaints.
Probation, I didn't
This
even
is
know if
actually not a
that's
suspension, it's a non-renewal.
non-renewal.
Correct.
Yeah,
Okay.
we've had installers in the past lose their license for a year or two.
Okay.
One for 5 years. We've had it.
So to Joe's point, is probation something that the board usually looks at, or no?
We haven't.
It's very rare that we have issues like this.
What I like about it is that he promises, he's going to do his best going forward, but those are words, hopefully those are words of truth. But if they're not, the next
The only thing that-
matter,
yeah.
his license is gone.
Well, the only thing with
Gone.
probation is that, here's the thing. When we say go and do a system, we're putting our stamp on, we're putting our quality seal, and we're putting our confidence that the installer will do the job as per Title V, as per North Andover regs, and in a usual and customary manner in accordance with how the other installers would do their job. So to put on probation, personally, I don't want to, because if probation's broken, let's say we do nothing and put them on probation, and then we get another one, something comes up another couple months. Well, that was a mistake doing probation, because now we had to wait for another septic system to be possibly in jeopardy, or our rules not being followed. And that's the only thing with the probation thing. That's
Well,
why
this
we...
is-
I don't think we have an option for probation.
No.
No, we don't.
So if we don't have an option of probation...
No,
and-
he's here to basically appeal the denial of his renewal. And that's the matter that's on the table. And just the point that I'd like to make is that a license is a minimum credential that says that you meet the minimum level of competency. It's not a stamp of approval. It says that you have met the requirements. You've taken our exam, you have demonstrated a familiarity with our regulations, and we give you a license to install in our towns. It's not a certification of workmanship or quality or anything else. It's a minimum credential.
He's been doing this work since 2004 in our town, and he's been doing it in many other towns. He's given us a pretty in-depth list of references. Again, who knows? We don't have time to properly vet all this. Perhaps probation is not the right word, but if he was to continue to work in North Andover, rest assured the next time that there was any type of problem, I would vote to have your license pulled, and I don't think that I'd be the only one to vote. as such. So, I just don't want to see anyone lose the opportunity to make money.
I think
I
he's
know
here.
that there's been problems, but that's,
Joe, I hear what you're saying. He's here because he's appealing the denial. We've identified some problems. He says he's going to correct them. He said he's never been here before us for the seriousness of the things that we've brought up. There have clearly been some
Issues.
errors.
yes.
Failure to do, failure to follow through. There might even be issues with customer relations. We didn't get into that, but that's another thing that we have to consider. But if we were going to renew this, I think it would be made very clear in our minutes, and we would be able to refer back to this, that if we were going to allow the license to be renewed, that if there's another appearance before this board, I think that that's pretty much the limit of our patience.
I have a problem with that.
Well, I guess that would be, so it's either deny, maintain.
It's either deny or renew.
Or renew.
But I think that the issue is if we do choose to renew, that, I mean, these discrepancies, the, not calling for the sand inspection, not, we've already discussed the issue with regard to the contractor's lien. That's not a process that we're really in favor of. And just the overall importance to this board that contractors who are licensed in town are going to, have good relationships with their clients. I mean, everybody here works a job. We all have to please the people that we work for, even if we work for ourselves. We work for our customers. That that's an important thing. I will grant that you can't please everybody. There's just some people who are just going to be unreasonable. I get that. And I don't know the background, and we've already discussed that we're not going to be a he said, she said thing. But I really wanted to hear your explanation for some of these discrepancies. And I'm satisfied that some of them were probably not quite what they seemed on the surface. I did read some of your letters of recommendation, and I know some of the people there. And I think I just want to be very clear that if we do allow this license to be renewed based on this appeal before this board, that if these things come back to us, that you will not find sympathy on this board.
Come back once.
Well, I mean, I don't want to put him as a hostage.
No.
For somebody who's watching the meeting, and it's like, oh, I'm going to screw this guy. But honestly, if there are issues like this, not calling for inspections, not making, not following the letter of our recommendation of our regulations, I think we're going to have a problem with that.
I think that with the board, with the department pulling your license, I would have done the same thing if I was in your position, to be honest with you. But this is an opportunity to further discuss and take it from
I
there.
appreciate this, honestly.
And thank you for being here. You didn't have to come.
No, I believe me.
I don't think there's much more discussion.
No, just,
It's what our country's about.
are you clear as to what we're saying?
I believe, yes, oh yeah, 100%.
Joe, you want to make the motion?
Don't come back.
I think before we make a
Don't come back in front of you again.
No, I understand that.
Yeah,
Again, it's-
do the right thing, stick to the letter.
My only comment is, well, one of many comments, is that this involves two different homes, not just one job. And that's why I was...
They were coinciding, the same time.
Right,
It was one, then the other.
Right.
So it was kind of a busy time of year. Not that that's, but,
but that was my concern,
yeah,
so...
no, this job, I mean, I'm trying to figure a good way to say this. These two letters of recommendation that I put in front of you here are from two customers that combined, they gave me, $150,000 worth of work. This is a $7,000 job. This is, I mean, I don't understand what happened here, but it's not gonna happen again. And you have my word on that. You all have my word on that.
So Brian's not going to, no one's going to have to chase you down.
No.
No one's going to have to call you saying, you're going to call for this.
No.
I'm serious.
I am serious in my story.
Did you have,
complaint.
Problems in any other communities?
No, I've never had any problems in any other communities.
Never.
No, never.
Brian, you have something you wanted to?
Just moving forward, communication is key. If you know you're gonna be doing a bottom of bed on Tuesday, let us know on Friday, the week before. Hey, I'm going out to X site next week. Are you guys available? Don't call us the same day and demand an inspection for the afternoon and the morning, and then get mad if we can't go out.
No, I don't, to me, and Armand. I think I told you when I received the letter, you know, I didn't read that letter.
Yeah.
Even when you handed it to me, I didn't take it and read it, but I did tell you at that desk, you know, look, communication is gonna
Right,
be key between us.
absolutely.
And I did
So,
say that.
so if you give us a heads up, hey, next week I'm gonna be doing the bottom of bed. When are you available?
Yes.
All right, I'll be ready for you at 4 o'clock on Monday.
Yeah.
Perfect. We don't hold you up.
Yeah.
We know what's going on. The job's gotta move quicker than what happened last year. That lady was calling us almost every other day.
Yeah, and I apologize for that, and I honestly,
If you're spread out too thin, don't overpromise and underdeliver.
well, I'm not defending myself, but
Okay.
she was warned that I was busy and that this was gonna be something that I was gonna pick at. She didn't, you know.
Right.
But.
I thought you were gonna
I'm
be-
not a he said, I'm not
Yep.
trying to, I don't wanna go back, I wanna go forward, please.
Yeah, so, I mean,
That's fine.
keep in communication with us.
Because he's the one who made the point.
Don't wait till the last
And I
minute.
said that too,
As long as everyone
Yeah,
knows.
and
I
I agree-
apologize, I
and
really,
I agree with
honestly,
you.
from my bottom of my heart,
Yeah.
Brian, I apologize to you for this, because
Right.
this is,
We don't need
this
you.
is nonsense for you
We
as
only
well.
I'd rather spend
No, no,
a
it
half
doesn't
an hour
matter.
here
I-
hashing this out
The main thing is to get the
than
points out.
making 15 hours of legwork around town.
The letter of recommendation from Bud Hart was the septic system that you had inspected for Avocado across the street from Osgood Plaza.
Okay.
So that was a $50,000 septic system,
The-
that I did.
The Beechwood?
the Beechwood.
Yeah.
Right, so I am accustomed to doing this type of work, and I'm not gonna let this happen again. You have my word.
All right. The purpose of this meeting was to make sure that we get our points out, you explain yourself, and everybody's on the same plane as far as understanding. Nobody wants to see anybody not work, of course. So you have a good feeling as to what you need to do?
Yes,
And
sir.
a good understanding as to where we're coming from and where Brian and Michelle are coming from?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Brian, is my position inconsistent with your position?
No, I'm just giving you guys what happened. You guys are the board, you discuss it, you vote. I agree with everything you guys have said tonight in terms of not holding off from working, but if he's gonna work in town, you guys do grant him the permission to do septic installations, then he's gotta hold himself to a higher standard this year than he did last year, as far as I'm concerned. Because I'm not chasing anybody down, I'm not going to be driving by sites.
That level of standard has to be maintained.
Correct.
This is a 2-year license?
1 year.
This is a 1-year license?
Okay.
See, and the reason that I ask is that, and for those that are listening and for you too, is I think it's important that we do our very best to speak with one language, and often we don't do
Right.
that. And if you're in agreement to an extent, then I'd like to make a motion.
Go ahead, Bro.
Okay?
Go on.
I make a motion to renew the disposal works installer license for 2018 for Daigle Construction. Perhaps a further notation that any future problems or future problem, your license will be pulled.
Conditional.
Yeah.
I accept that.
Yeah.
You can give me marching orders, I'm fine with that.
All right.
Okay.
All right, I'll second that.
Okay. Any more discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Okay.
Thank you.
So-
Thanks for coming out, Rob.
No, thank you.
Thank you. I now declare the public meeting closed. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Public meeting is now closed. Thank you very much.
All right, have a good night.
Wait a second. We didn't have a second public hearing.
Right.
It was canceled.
Oh, that's right. I got the.
Yeah.
Okay. Approval of meeting minutes from February 22nd. Joe, do you have them?
Yeah, we're good. Make a motion.
I think we've had some corrections already. I think we're good.
Good enough. Make a
Michelle, you
motion
can
that we
second?
approve them.
Yes, second. I didn't know if we made a motion.
Michelle
You
seconds?
did.
Second, yes.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 It's unanimous.
Good job, Tony.
Okay, communications, announcements, and discussion. You know,
I think, just going back out for clarification, we did have the Royal Crest public hearing scheduled for tonight. Just touch base upon that they did request a stay, and I did give you guys copies of the letters. They are holding on to their right to appeal, but they're going to be working with us on correcting the violations throughout the entire site. So we'll be working with them on coming up with a comprehensive plan on taking care of the most important issues first, and then going down in order of importance. So it's been a long process, but it has gotten their attention. They did have the owners from Colorado fly out and met with their attorneys, our attorney, town manager, and the community development director, and came up with this type of a plan of action moving forward. So that's been put on hold until further notice. If they don't comply with what we determine to be the best course of action, then they can come back before you to discuss it.
okay, good. Do we have to do anything, since it's public, it's just been canceled? Do we have to stay their thing, or just,
I would just either
we have to vote to
acknowledge that.
stay their?
Vote to stay their appeal.
Their appeal, their right to appeal?
Correct.
Okay, so I can't make a motion, so how would you word it, Brian, that we could,
I would accept their request to stay the appeal hearing until further notice, if needed.
okay, so Royal Crest's,
Yes, Royal Crest requested an appeal stay. So you can make a motion to accept the appeal stay for the inspection process that we were working
do
on.
I have a motion from what Brian just said?
Well, before we do that,
Yeah.
let me just ask, do we even have to do that?
I think maybe just in order of housekeeping, it wouldn't be bad, since we did have advertised public hearing for tonight. Notice was sent out to all of the tenants, as well as everybody in town here, so all of the
Okay.
inspectors and things like that, so.
Fair enough.
So do we
Just-
have to reopen the public hearing, say that, and then close it?
You don't have to open it, they requested a stay, so you don't have to open it ever until needed.
All right. So I
So I have a
move to approve the stay as described.
Second.
second by Michelle. All those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Unanimous.
unanimous.
All right, thanks. Didn't want to skip too far ahead on that one.
We're on a roll.
You're the
get all that,
chair.
Tony?
You get to say the motion
All right,
carries.
Motion carries.
Yeah.
Minutes.
I couldn't help.
No, we did.
I know we're talking about communications and announcements, but I just couldn't. I found a great article I just wanted to share. Couldn't help it. I told Brian I wasn't going to bother, but I had an hour to go over it before I came here, so I may stumble a little, but I found it. When I talk about these issues, whether it be drugs or health or whatever it might be, these are still public health type issues that involve a large population of our residents or the world. It doesn't really matter. But I found a very interesting article. Acetaminophen, Tylenol, overdoses rise substantially during cold flu season. Now, I thought that was really interesting, and I'm going to read a little of it because I didn't have time to really kind of memorize it. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's very short, very, very short. This is from U.S. pharmacist of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. In a case where the treatment or at least overuse of it can be worse than the disease, new research finds that acetaminophen overdosing increases significantly during the influenza season in the United States. This report appeared in the British Journal of Clinical Pharmacology, suggests that the primary reason for acetaminophen overdose is the use of multiple over-the-counter combination medicines to treat upper respiratory symptoms. think about it. I was sick as a dog about a month and a half ago, and you want to just keep taking various products from over the counter, and a lot of people don't look at the ingredients. They look at the marketing. It says for headache, for pain, for fever, whatever it might be, and they may take a whole variety of over-the-counter products and not realize that they're duplicating some of the chemical ingredients, the drug ingredients within those products. The study, which was led by researchers from the University of Pittsburgh and Boston University, had participants fill out a daily medicine diary for a week. The study used multiple online research panels from 2011 to 2016 to gather the information. They used 14,000 U.S. adults to get this information. The results indicated that 6.3% of acetaminophen or Tylenol users exceeded the maximum adult daily dose of 4 grams on at least one day during the week in which they used the painkiller. 4 gram is the max. With the 4 gram limit exceeded on an average of 3.7% of the 7 days. That's very significant because when you go to the toxic level, and Dr. McMillan knows this too with the liver, there's a potential to have damage to some of the liver cells, keeping it really simple. People that take over 4 grams and continue it on a longer-term haul can cause irreparable liver damage because I'm not going to go deep into it, but in order to metabolize acetaminophen, you need something called self-hydro groups. That's for all the biochemists out there. But there's only a point that the body can supply it to metabolize acetaminophen. So what happens is you reach a point where you reach liver toxicity, and it just starts to cause, and please correct me if I'm wrong, cell death, liver damage. And quite a few people do die from acetaminophen toxicity. So just a warning. The study also found that the odds of taking more than 4 grams of acetaminophen a day increased 24% during the cough and cold season rather than the off season. Let's see. This is the first multi-year year-round study that includes detailed data on how consumers used acetaminophen medications. And that's really it. I just found that very interesting, and I think it's just good for people to hear because it's one of the more common ingredients in over-the-counter products. And you don't want to duplicate taking the same drug within various product names. Very, very dangerous. And that's my public health tiny talk for tonight.
Can I add to that?
Please, yes.
So acetaminophen's also in Percocet and Vicodin, and so people who have a problem with prescription drug abuse may be inadvertently exceeding that 4 gram in order to get the opioid component of the medication. So that's another point. And the other thing is that people who consume more than 3 or 4 alcoholic drinks a day probably cannot use more than 2 grams of alcohol safely. So somebody who might be considered a moderate daily alcohol user potentially could get into what we used to call a therapeutic Tylenol overdose, where you can actually cause serious liver damage and even death from even less than the recommended maximum of 4 grams a day. So if you consume 3 or more drinks of alcohol a day and you're taking acetaminophen, you're probably best to limit it to 2 grams a day rather than 4 grams.
That's a good point. There is a recovery. Frank, you'll have to, I'm going back in time now with my brains, but there is a recovery. I think it's acetylcysteine, Mucomist, which provides those self-hydro groups to help metabolize the acetaminophen. So there is a recovery, God forbid somebody overdose on acetaminophen. There is a recovery to help limit the amount of damage. But without it, there's no recovery. That's it. So please be careful, everybody, on that, taking duplicate medicines, thinking that they're different medications to help you with your seasonal symptoms. Okay. So under communications.
Don't overconsume.
What's that, Frank?
So don't overconsume.
Don't overconsume. So Brian, we're going to talk about confirming a date from Dr. McMillan and Dr. Trowbridge for their talks.
We were shooting for the April meeting, but I think that's off the table.
can't.
Okay,
I'm
that's
away at the Medical Society in April.
I will reach out to Dr. Trowbridge, see if he can do his presentation in April, and push yours off back until the next
You
meeting.
may want to check with them on that because I think the medical and dental societies may run concurrently.
Okay,
I don't know.
so we may have April off then, great.
Well, it's this the time when annual meetings tend to occur.
Okay. All right, I will look into that, and we will come up with a
But
schedule.
I could do May.
You can do May, I'll reach out to Ron, we get that set up for May. I think that would be a great discussion with Ron here about substance abuse, nicotine, vaping, I mean, the whole gamut of everything right there. I think after our last meeting, it just seems to catch my attention a lot more frequently now. Seeing things on the news, talking about the Juul and the vaping and issues in schools. We're hearing stories every other day about kids in school.
And it really is public health. It's,
Yes.
we've had some huge public health victories over the past 30 years,
Yep.
and I just don't want to see them undone.
And this is going on those tracks right now. So I completely agree with you. So set that up for May, and then I'll see if we can do April. If not, then he can do his last meeting, will be his presentation.
Frank, I was
Mr.
reading
Chair.
about, you sent out something about, begins with an F. It was a vaping thing?
Flumist?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the pediatric.
No, not fluid, no.
Oh, okay.
They had to do with nicotine.
Oh,
I thought you said
it might have been the Juuling.
juuling, yeah, that's what it
Yeah.
was, juuling.
Julian, that's what I
Yeah,
said.
we're going to talk about that a little bit more,
Yeah.
but these are like little electronic heating devices that
Scary.
heat the,
Nicotine
they
solution.
heat the nicotine or whatever else you put in there.
I was reading about it, what you sent out. It's
And,
scary, it's scary.
They're easy to disguise because they look like a thumb drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can trash them up in your laptop in school.
Yeah.
And there's no odor to them, is my understanding as well.
Well, I think there is an
There
odor
is.
if
A little bit?
they're flavored,
There
yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Well, right, if they're not flavored, they are doing them in the classroom, is what I
Yes.
was told.
Yeah.
And teachers aren't even aware.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know, right?
I used to eat a candy bar in class and think I was getting away with something.
Chewing gum.
Chewing gum. Unbelievable. Brian, what, the best practice for the Northeast Mosquito District, or when is that going to be coming out?
I actually recently received that. I have it in my email right now. I have not downloaded it or put it on the website or anything yet. I can get that to you guys probably sometime next week.
Is there the opt-out for the residents? Is that time
Yes.
passed already?
That is through the town clerk's office now, so I'm not aware of what the dates are.
I
Then
believe
think
it's
it might
April
have
the
been.
1st, but I could be mistaken.
It was March 15th. Previously, I think they did move that up to maybe April 1st, but I will look into that.
Every year, we've been having the Northeast Mosquito District here. Do we still?
I think a 15-minute presentation wouldn't be bad, just to get another PSA out there about, how to
Okay.
protect yourself, bug spray, mosquitoes, where they live, a little refresher. We did do it last year, so I wouldn't mind doing it again this year.
Well, this has
Yeah,
been
but I think a 15-minute, just kind of let them know that
A little general overview.
general overview,
Yeah.
and, we don't have to go into the Culex Pippins and the,
Zinca and
Yes.
things like that. But,
Okay.
Well, I've been a little bit concerned because this has been a
No.
rough winter, and it looks like the weather's going to get at least a little bit better. And we have some rain forecast over the next few weeks. I'm saying, whoa, boy, could be some flooding. Certainly the soil is going to be saturated. May not be a good year for mosquitoes. You never know.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
They will tell us if they come here.
maybe we'll get a late spring hard freeze, that'll help us out.
You never know, perhaps.
I hope not.
That'd be nice.
It's already spring.
Technically, yes.
Do we need to vote like we do each year as far as if we have, or is this early? Or should we do it next month? On if there is a West Nile outbreak or something like that, where I'll be able to speak for the board and
Oh,
issue a spray. Or should we do that now or next month, or what would you recommend?
Put it on the agenda for next month.
Okay, that's fine.
Make it official.
As long as we have a quorum.
If not, then May.
All right. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. New business. First of all, anything else on for announcements or discussions or communications?
Nope.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Sorry, Frank. Positive promotions, that's the, is this the positive? Yeah, this is it.
Correct.
So under new business, positive promotions.
Positive promotions.
Brian, do you want
You
to,
have the master copy.
do you want to tell us a little about it?
This is something that I got that I thought was pretty nifty, pretty handy, and I kind of liked it. They're not very expensive. We do have some funding to use on promotional materials. I thought this might be something that would be good to get out into the community, just to help people get a little idea as to what they can talk about, what they should talk about, and maybe even just by seeing it, they will probably remind them or give them the idea to, hey, you know what? I might want to think about that and think about talking to my, teenage son and daughter. We get our logo down bottom where it says Health Department, and get these spread out around the town. I want to let you guys know that this is what I was thinking of doing and get your input or advice on it.
Brian, last year, we had that health and safety fair in the senior center. What does it look like this year? What's the timeline on that?
The health fair,
Yeah.
that is going to be Monday the 26th
Of,
Of this month.
of this month, March.
Yeah,
Yes.
Monday.
Yep.
Talk about this. Do you know any other communities that have passed this out?
No.
I look at this and I shudder because I'm thinking, why would I want to show a child something that is in many states an illegal type product, but here in this state it's not, and it's federally an illegal type drug? I know they have to know because we legalized it in Massachusetts. Not we, I didn't, but
I think with all of the talk
Yeah.
and the publicity from town meetings and recreational bans across the state, medical marijuana's been around for a while, so that's kind of become more common knowledge. I think just to approach the subject with, if you have kids of this age, you might want to think about giving them some information, and this might help you take that next step into thinking about doing it or actually doing it. So just some good talking points and some good questions to ask and answer.
There's only one thing that just kind of strikes me not quite right. It's under the third tab, talking to kids about legalized marijuana. Marijuana has been approved to treat certain health conditions like nausea, loss of appetite, spasm, pain, and seizures. It is prescribed to patients under healthcare professional supervision. Just because it is approved to treat some conditions does not make it safe for everyone. It's actually not really true. It has been legalized so that it hasn't really been approved. And then the other part of it is it's never prescribed. It's actually illegal for a healthcare practitioner to prescribe marijuana. You can certify that somebody has a condition that's contained within the law that allows it to be legally used for certain purposes that are medicinal. But we actually are prohibited from prescribing. That would cause us to lose our DEA licenses.
Interesting. Okay.
So you cannot prescribe marijuana, but you can recommend that somebody has a condition, and that's protected under your First Amendment's free speech rights.
I think you have to go see the doctor. They give you
They
a
give you
ID number.
certification that you go to the state and then obtain a
Correct.
card.
Yes. So that would have been too hard to explain out in this.
Well, this is probably such a widespread.
Yeah, I get, it's,
But I do understand exactly what you're
everything
saying.
else I think is wonderful,
Okay, thank you.
so.
I didn't write it, but if I did, I would have asked you about that first.
well, they have to make this fit in every state.
Right.
Well, it's not prescribed in any
It's
state.
not, yeah.
It's a generic piece.
So this is something that I came across that I thought was good, that I thought we could benefit by getting a few of them and passing them out at certain locations, not to children, but to parents.
My objection isn't so much that I object to you doing that.
Okay.
Just a little OCD on precision.
Okay, so be it.
Are you okay with this?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's something tangible you can pass out.
It's actually really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to bring it to you guys and say, hey, this is what I was thinking about doing, and get your input and feedback.
Do we have any other vehicles to kind of take some of these one topic at it, like take the exact, when should you talk about kids legal marijuana and just, I don't know, through any community Facebook pages or,
Yes.
I think.
Yes, we're working on getting more active with social media and working with powers that be on being able to do additional stuff like that. So we're learning how to do it technically and through different policies too.
Right.
But yeah, I
You
think
could use this then as content to, you know.
tweet
have
out
this
or
and-
Facebook
yeah.
or put on the website.
Yeah.
I completely agree. And that's one of my goals for this coming year is to get the health department more active with all social media, our website, Facebook, and Twitter.
And that's also, as you start to print these, then you could put all that information on here so that you pick up people
Yes.
in the community who follow you.
So
Yeah.
right now, everything goes through the town Facebook page and the town Twitter site.
Yep.
The health
See that
department does
extra
not have
copy that you
Right.
have?
something that we like feeds information on.
So we don't want it to say that.
Yeah, no, we don't want that.
That's why I wrote down here on these that's where our,
Right.
Oh, okay, that's why positive promotion, okay, that's why it's on the bottom.
That's why
Yep.
when you were all saying, I was like, mine says positive promotion.
Yes, it's written in blue pen with a
Yes.
squiggle underneath it.
yeah,
That yours looks like a Z, mine looks like an S.
mine's a Z.
I'm the contrarian.
All right, no, that looks good, Brian. Talking about marijuana, I did talk to Brian again, one of my few phone calls, because I was doing some reading, and
Only a few?
I was worried about protecting the town as far as, they're coming out with regs now, and they're having seminars on how a town should, suggestions on how a town should base their regulations so that the health department can become part and have control, or some control over retail sales of legalized marijuana. And my only thought when I was speaking to Brian was that, do we need to protect the town for future in case it's ever reintroduced and it ever passes? We'll have the regulations established and in place. And during our discussion, Brian said that if we know that it's ever going to come to a vote or come up again, we can always introduce the regulations
That's
at
the right idea.
at that time.
Yeah.
And then, before it passes, and then we'll still be able to maintain control over the situation.
Yeah, so if it goes to town meeting to reverse the warrant article,
Right,
we would have plenty of notice to have,
okay.
to do a draft regulation and have it passed through the board before town meeting happens down the road, if that ever is even an issue. But as of right now, it's banned. So we should be good for a long time.
Here we go. Positive promotions. 2018 First and Main Farmers Market.
That's coming around this year again. It was a extreme success last year. I wanted to gauge your interest on what we should do with the fee this year. Last year it was free to all of the vendors. Typically food vendors for temporary permits, we charge $35. That's completely up to you to waive the fee or not waive the fee. It's your call. But I wanted to at least open the discussion and see what you guys thought.
They have a fee for the booth itself, so this would be as a fee on top of that?
I don't know what the fee is for the booth itself. I think there is some sort of, I don't think it's very expensive. And I think the fee, what we did last year, the fee they paid for the booth also included, quote unquote, the Board of Health permit.
We did something as far as a blanket health department permit, or did we just make it cover the entire farmer's market? We didn't do individual vendors.
Individual vendors had to submit their paperwork to us. We did not charge them a fee.
And because this farmer's market is a recurring event over 16 or 24 weeks, how many weeks is it going?
This goes from, I think, sometime in June to October.
So if we did decide that a fee was appropriate, then that would go through the entire season.
Correct.
So it'd be good for the entire 2018 farmer's market season.
Why do we know what other communities do regarding fees for their farmers markets?
They usually charge them a nominal temporary permit fee, which for us is $35.
Does that fee cover the costs of processing the paperwork? I mean, essentially,
Yes.
does it cover anything more than the cost of?
No. No, we do inspections. It's pretty straightforward. We do periodic inspections throughout the course of the entire farmer's market. So we'll have Sweet Safe go out 1 or 2 times. I'll go out a few times, just over the course of the extended period that they're there. So it's just some time, basically what it comes down to for us.
How many vendors were there last year?
I want to say 15 food vendors. Is that about right? Maybe 20?
It was more.
20? It was a pretty good number.
So you're talking about roughly $700, and I have every reason to believe because it was quite successful last year. They'll even be larger this year.
Yeah.
May want to spread out further
Yeah.
to some of the others.
Yeah.
Don't know.
We talked
But we're
about
not,
doing.
we're not permitting like somebody who's selling fresh vegetables. It's somebody who's selling prepared food.
Correct. And
So-
farmers markets, you have certain things are exempt,
Right.
such as stuff, any products coming directly from a farm that is uncut and unprocessed. So fruits and vegetables, basically, aren't subject to a Board of Health permit.
Right.
As soon as you cut anything, or cook anything, or cool anything, then you start getting into requirements that we have and permits required from us.
So like the seafood vendor who was there, he would come under our permitting
Yeah,
process.
absolutely. I think last year, what we talked about doing it at first, the initial thing was to just charge one fee for the entire market versus charging every single vendor, but you guys ended up waiving the fee last year.
Right.
So I
We did,
think
it was a new, I'm just remembering, we did it because it was the first year.
it
and
was
we
the
wanted
first
to
year, it
encourage-
was new. We wanted to make sure and do what we could to help make it successful and to attract the vendors coming in. So we were gonna do one fee for the Farmers Market Association itself for our food permitting. That was just to see how it went, but it was very successful. We could charge the normal fee for each vendor this year, or we could just do a one-time fee this year for the association, or you could waive the fee. It's completely up to you guys.
Did you have any concerns in your inspections last year?
We had a couple of hiccups with maybe 1 or 2 of the vendors, but it was very minimal. A lot of these vendors that come in have done this before. There was one farm that came in that had some things that weren't quite correct in terms of their holding, which was some raw cheeses and things like that that needed to be chilled, and they weren't. So there was some issues with that, but that was taken care of right away.
The only thing that comes to mind is that we have quite a few events that require temporary permitting for food vendors.
Yep.
So I want to make sure we're fair to the ones that have to pay for their temporary food permits each year that come in to do
Okay.
whatever it might be. I mean, we
Sheep
waived
shearing.
We waived it one year. but
Yeah.
I also want to make sure it's balanced where if we do need to charge them, we should do what we do with everyone else.
Have they come to us and talked to us about this?
No, I have not talked to Phil about this yet.
So
I think
maybe,
things are just starting to get rolling with this now.
right, so do we need to make this decision tonight?
No,
So
no, it doesn't
we're-
open up until June, so there's plenty of time between now and then.
So what I would suggest
discuss it.
is that you reach out to Phil
Okay.
and throw a couple of options at him, whether a blanket permit would be appropriate,
Yeah.
or if he feels that the individual should pay, or, and then we can discuss about what's the appropriate thing. But I think that, you know, I guess that if we're doing the work, you should be compensated for the cost of doing the work.
Yes, I think last year we just wanted to try to help any way we could to make sure.
And they came to us and asked us for that, and we,
Correct.
on their request, waived the fee.
Yes,
So I just don't want there to be a expectation that they requested it once and it's perpetual.
okay,
So I would say reach out to them, talk to them, and come back to us with a recommendation.
okay,
Well,
perfect.
we may want to waive the fee. Obviously, this is not the time, but you can consider it to be a lost leader. A look, they may rapidly expand. I have reason to believe they'll be bigger this year than last year because it's so darn successful. And I don't want a fee to discourage anyone from participating, but this is not the time to, obviously, to make that
Yes.
decision.
Not here to start thinking about now.
Yes.
I can do some more research, I can talk to Bill, come back to you guys with more of a game plan, but I want to at least get your input before you did anything.
Yeah, I'd like to just hear what they,
Yes.
I'd like to hear from them.
Okay.
And then you can come back to us with a recommendation.
Perfect.
Brian, do
Will
we
do.
do blanket fees for any other group?
No,
We don't-
All of the
it's kind
other-
of like a unique kind of thing.
it was a unique kind of thing, yeah.
So I just want to make sure we have parity
Yep.
in town. Because if I was at the sheep shearing or something like that, and I'm going, hey, what do I have to pay a fee for when, you know? Yeah.
Yep.
So we want to make sure it's balanced too.
Okay.
That's all.
I would suggest some of these in the bags.
That's a great idea.
What's that?
In
So-
the bags
some of those
they
in the
give-
free bags.
In the free bags they give out.
That's a really good idea, I love that. I'll ask Phil how many bags they get, and we'll put one in each bag.
All right. Old business, department reports. So what happened last month?
Everything happened last
Everything.
month. I'll just briefly just touch upon a couple of quick things. Budgeting is looking pretty good. We did our budgets. I met with Lynn Savage. I met with Eric and Andrew and Ray Santilli. Went over the budgets. We put in some minor requests for some increases in some of our revolving account usage, as well as our training budget. We did the finance committee meeting. That went very well. No hiccups there. So we'll see what happens at town meeting, but things are looking good for our budget. And we're pretty, cost restrictive anyway on what we do. We don't have a huge budget, which is kind of keeps us under the radar a little bit. Did a couple of trainings. Tony and I did a website maintenance training with IT to learn about changing things on the website and posting stuff and things like that.
Brian now has
Chris.
he has the authorization to go in and work on the website, a town website.
Almost.
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 Okay.
Yes. I have the knowledge now to think I can do it.
Have the selectmen posted that we have an open seat on the board coming up? Or are they going to wait until it's actually vacated?
I think Andrew probably has something in the works. I can definitely check on that and see if he has somebody lined up or has an idea as to who he wants to appoint.
I know in the past, they've usually kind of put some kind of notice out there for people who are interested.
That's Tom's last.
June is his last meeting. We've done typical inspections. The Royal Crest inspections were ongoing. Those have now ceased, thank God. Building permit applications, food reviews, Title V reviews. There's all sorts of fun stuff going on there. We do our basic administrative stuff. General customer service, helping customers out on an ongoing basis. And your basic septic approvals and denials, various letters, things like that. And my correspondence with the chairman is always really good. And happy
So
spring.
it's less than daily now?
It's been fantastic.
Much less than daily. I'm getting more used to email.
Yes.
Brian, have we had, how's the trash haulers doing as far as taking the appropriate routes? How's the policing going?
Well, one thing that we did do, we did get everything taken care of with JRM. There was a couple meetings and some correspondence back and forth. They have gotten all their permits and placards. We did get a new sign from Wheeler Bradar to put down the end of Holt Road, which has a designated route and arrows. So it's going to help, I think, a little bit. And I've met with the police and about redoing and kicking out the enforcement. Now that we have JRM, our private hauler for all of our municipal waste, permitted and taken care of, they are going to start enforcing and starting to pull over all the unpermitted vehicles and people on the wrong roads. So hopefully good.
Okay.
you have a lot more inspections because of the power outages?
A lot more correspondence and phone calls,
Yeah.
and yeah, we did a couple of inspections for some restaurants that we had some questions on.
I have a question about sharps. Anything new since last month?
Just more coming in.
Okay. All right.
So we've had, it kind of comes in waves. Sometimes I don't see anything for weeks and weeks, and then sometimes people will drop off literally buckets of sharps, or garbage bags of unused sharps or whatever it is. So I just had a drop off last week, but I haven't seen anything for weeks before then, so.
I think I saw something in today's Eagle Tribune. It was talking about the river cleanup project. Has anybody else seen this? Apparently, the cost of disposing all the needles that they're finding in the Merrimack River is straining municipal resources.
Interesting. I mean, it does add up. Granted, we're a very small operation,
Yeah.
but yeah, I can see that definitely getting costly.
So it just never occurred to me that that was such a problem.
So I know like with, when we get a box picked up, I think it's $56 for a box, and that'll fit, you know, maybe, depending on the size of the containers, I think it's about 50 pounds of sharps. So, I mean, one time I had 3 boxes picked up, so I can't even imagine with a bigger city,
Yeah.
how much they're going through.
Well, in the volunteers who are cleaning this stuff up, you know,
Exactly, yeah.
they pull the stuff out of the public resource, and then they have the expense of having to dispose of it.
Right, exactly.
Just
Carolyn?
So I feel like this past month was short with all the snow days, and I was sick for a little while as well, but flu shots have slowed down. And also the amount of flu that we're kind of seeing in the community has also slowed down. Since the last meeting at the very end of February, we were told that flu mist was going to get re-added onto the list of recommended flu vaccines for the upcoming season. So they do, I know some of you guys were on the email, they do have a limited amount of what they're going to be able to provide the state. So they are having the priority be those towns and schools that run school-based flu clinics be the priority. I'll still put in a request for flu mist, but I don't know if we'll get anything. We do already have our order in for the coming season, so we can just add to that. What else? Blood pressure clinics are ongoing at the senior center, and then throughout the senior housing. We have the health fair coming up on Monday, and we are going to do cholesterol screenings at our table. I've had quite a few just kind of walk-ins, people coming in for blood pressure checks, glucose, you know, other general health concerns or complaints. Some teaching on home glucose checks and that kind of thing. Meetings, I did an adult mental health first aid training, which was kind of, I had put in a request to look into some classes, and I got the notification the Friday before, and they said, oh, we have an opening, so I was able to go to the class on Monday, so that was a great opportunity. And then for our library series, Christine Shaw, who is the director of the school counseling program at Merrimack, her and I were emailing back and forth, and she was able to come in and speak at the library 2 Wednesdays ago, so it was after one of the bigger snowstorms. She came in and spoke about mental health, and she's also a mental health first aid instructor, so she kind of gave an overview of what that program's all about to some of the residents there, so that was great to have her there. What else? I did an emergency risk communication training, and that's pretty much it.
Caroline, thank you.
Yeah.
The flu mist, did they reformulate it, or why is it, I mean, it's an easy dosage to use, easy dosage form to use, but why is it?
I think that they had it off the list of recommended vaccines because they didn't feel it was as effective as some of the other vaccines, and I think they kind of came to, I don't know if they reformulated it, but I know there was some discussion about they'd rather have people be vaccinated than not vaccinated at all. because I don't know if numbers went down because kids weren't getting the flu mist and they weren't getting the shot. I don't know that, the logic behind that, but what I read was that they'd rather have them get some type of vaccination rather than,
No
refuse to get
protection.
it at all, yeah.
I'm sorry. go ahead.
I was going to say, I know Michelle's not here, but could you just give us an update on some of the new food establishments in town?
We've got 2 opening up. We've got another one in the works. Well, that's not really food, but a third one in the works. So the 2 that are opening up is the Jade, which is down off of High Street, Water Street, and Howling Wolf, which is another restaurant that's going to be opening up. I believe Howling Wolf is going to be opening up in about a week, maybe 2. They are ready. They're bringing in their food. They're going to be getting their staff trained, and then doing a soft opening.
Where is
Jade-
that?
That is over by the where the Vineyard used to be,
Oh, yeah.
next to Starbucks.
The plaza at the
yeah.
125, 114
Yes.
split.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
what kind of food are these restaurants serving?
That Howling Wolf is Mexican.
Okay.
They're gonna have a bar and a restaurant. They're gonna also do takeout, almost like a I don't want to say Chipotle, but a quicker version of a sit-down Mexican restaurant. But you can go there, you can have a drink while your food's getting made. You can take it out, or you can sit and eat. They've been working on this for a while now. They're a really great young couple that are going to do hopefully a really good job. Then the Jade, it's looking fantastic over there. They're going to be doing a soft opening next week, slowly ramping up, and then a grand opening next weekend. So they are ready to go. And then another company came in. They're looking to also do something over with the Mill Building called the Wine Lab. And that's going to be, you can go make your own wine. It'll be a wine bar, just strictly wine, no spirits or beer. It's under a vineyard type of a permit, not with us, but through the Liquor Commission and through the state, where you can make wine. So they can't sell wine from from mass producers, but they can sell wine from other vineyards. So I don't know all the specifics on that, but it's going to be strictly wine and then small plates, cheese and crackers, fresh fruit, things like that. Maybe some baked goods. So they'll have a small little kitchen there. And that's going to be looking like it's going to open up right at the beginning of summer.
Okay.
So around, I think, Memorial Day.
Nice.
So that's it so far.
What's Bubba's again?
That is a sub shop
Okay.
off of 114 up by Berry Farms, the new Berry Street development.
Yeah.
On the corner where the equestrian shop used to be, where it's
Oh,
got a
good.
garage
Good,
and a
good.
sub shop. So you can get pizza while you're getting your car fixed.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Is that a chain or
No.
is
Nope.
it just a local proprietor?
Yes.
They're open though, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they opened up a couple weeks ago.
Trash truck permitting,
I
we
think
still are not fully permitted yet in town?
there are still a few companies that haven't. I think you only got one page of Michelle's. Hers was 2 pages. It was 2-sided. I just noticed that. I was like, oh, that's the second page. Yeah, there's still a couple companies that aren't permitted. That I spoke to the police today about that, and I met with Mark Wilson today, and we're going to definitely be going after some people.
How could it go so long? I mean, what happened at our end or at their end that we're already at the end
They're-
of March and,
They're ignoring us, and until JRM was permitted, there was a holdup on certain enforcement activities because JRM was going through some legal stuff with us on their permitting and their placards. So we were waiting until that was taken care of, which was just done.
okay, so everything will follow through, we're okay,
Yes.
we don't have to react to this.
Well, we are reacting to it,
All right.
and that's why I met with the police
But
today.
they don't need us to.
You don't need us to,
No.
Correct.
We have an avenue to react already that does not involve us.
I have
It may involve us.
Oh,
at
you
some
have,
point.
okay, you have the,
I have the note, I'm like, first page
All the fun things.
Which one do you have?
Apparently, I got the
She got,
great
she's like the original cool kid.
You're the only one.
You got the original. You're doing great. Yeah, and the listen, what else we got there?
Septic, Royal Crest, anything really new, health fair, housing.
Yep.
Seems like we've talked about.
All the regular inspections.
All the regular inspections.
Yes.
Caroline, I was going to say, the Christine Shaw on the mental health first aid.
Yeah.
Wow, what a wonderful public health type presentation.
Yes.
That's, mental health is like the number one.
I know.
As
Well,
far as
And
what's
it was
happening.
interesting, she was the third person I reached out to. The first two companies or individuals never responded back to me. So with the first library series, I was very lucky. I reached out to the first nutritionist and they were on board and it worked out really well. And then this one, I reached out twice to one company, they never got back to me. I reached out to someone else, and then I was looking into mental health first aid training for myself, and I came across her information because I was just kind of scanning the area for instructors, and she came up, and I was emailing with her, asking her if she had any classes, and then we were a couple of weeks out from the library presentation, and I said, well, I'll just try her and see if, she'll be able to come, and she rearranged her schedule, and she was able to make it, and yeah, she was a really great.
Wonderful,
So.
wonderful, great for here.
Yeah.
It would reach a large amount of our populace. It
Yeah.
affects everybody.
Right.
But can you keep it in mind for something
Definitely.
we can present at a later date?
Yeah, definitely.
What a great thing to do.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Is it,
Go ahead.
is it,
Okay, Mr. Chairman, may I make a motion?
yes, what's your motion, Doc?
I would like to move to adjourn.
Do I have a,
Thank you.
Do I have a,
I second.
do I have a second?
It's 8:30.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous.